Alright, welcome back to another edition of the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. Okay, I'm going to be discussing a lot of WWE news in this episode. Specifically with a John Cena who recently got injured within the last 2 days. He's got a hip injury, according to WWE.com itself. He's day-to-day, but he has been removed from all wrestling action. He made a statement that in the ring at the next event, it was supposed to be a steel cage match, him versus Wade Barrett, to keep out the Nexus, but it ended up to be a Big Show. Okay, other news that another diva has left WWE. If you don't remember, Ashley Valance. She was a former NXT from season 2. She is gone from WWE. She was a ring announcer. She wasn't happy that she wasn't using her wrestling ability, so she's gone. Okay, Superstars this week is Usos defeated Yoshitatsu and Darren Young. The next match was William Regal defeated David Hart Smith. Those two matches were on Raw, reported from Raw results page also. Okay, the match from SmackDown is Tyler Rex defeating Chris Masters by torture rack slam combo and a match that was taped for Superstars. The ring crew was having intense difficulty changing the ring ropes for SmackDown. Chris Masters still came out for his Superstars match. Okay, well, I guess it was changing over from the NXT taping. And he popped over the second rope. That was supposed to be funny. So watch SmackDown. Watch your Superstars for that hilarious moment. Okay, there was a dark match on Raw. That's all Primo defeating Abraham Washington. Most of you, he was a talk show on ECW. However, in recent months, his transitioned to be a full-time competitor in FCW. Okay, on to NXT. Not much, a lot of BS that went on. Todd Grisham welcomes and says that tonight is the final night for the rookies to impress, as the next week someone will be eliminated. R-Truth returns to action. Well, he was out rapping with his rookie Johnny Curtis at his side. Dolph Ziggler is out next as the opponent for Curtis. Not much of a match since it's pro versus rookie. The finish sees Ziggler going for an avalanche and misses. Curtis fires away with a few more uppercuts and a spinning clothesline. Curtis whips Ziggler off the ropes and hits a flapjack. Curtis hits to the top, goes for a guillotine leg drop, but Ziggler rolls out of the way. Curtis gets up, favoring his leg. Ziggler hits a zigzag. Ziggler covers and gets the win over the rookie. Ziggler and Vicky celebrate as Dolph gives some advice, but keeps him away from Vicky. Like whoever's going to really want her. Byron Saxton versus Ted DiBiase was advertised for later on. Then they go to their first break. They come back, and as a reminder, the Bobby Heenan DVD has been released and is out now. Royal Rumble ad with The Miz and several other superstars plugging the match before they head to the show. Derek Bateman is in the ring with Kofi Kingston in his corner. As Daniel Bryan couldn't make it, Conor O'Brien is his opponent. Yes, there's a lot of wrestlers that might not be making it to the shows due to the horrible snowstorms that's on the East Coast. Jerry King Lawler was recently in that. He just barely made it to Raw for the show. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Conor O'Brien is his opponent with Alberto Del Rio in the opposite corner. Bateman trips up O'Brien right away, applies a heel hook. O'Brien goes to the ropes for a break, but gets kicked upon standing. O'Brien counters the Irish whip attempt and singles out an arm, dropping to the mat with it. O'Brien now works on the arm, wrapping it up in the ropes, then applying a submission. Bateman bridges out, gets taken down, and O'Brien covers for a 1 count only. Bateman counters a whip attempt and kicks O'Brien. It hits a few right hands and whips O'Brien into the corner. Hitting a clothesline followed by a whip into the opposite corner. Bateman charges and hits a drop kick. Bateman hits a somersault neck breaker on O'Brien and gets a 2 count. Bateman goes after O'Brien, who is on the apron. O'Brien grabs Bateman's arm, drops it over the top rope. O'Brien gets back in, hits a full Nelson slam on Bateman for the win. Alberto Del Rio steps in and is very happy. Pointing to Ricardo Rodriguez on the outside, he tells Rodriguez to announce O'Brien as the winner, and reluctantly, he does. Ted DiBiase and Maurice are arguing backstage for all the money Maurice has been spending. Brodus Clay walks in, thanks DiBiase for all he's done for him. DiBiase asks Clay if he's patronizing him. DiBiase tells Clay to get a pad and pen and take notes. Later on tonight, he faces an opponent. It wasn't announced in the article. And as they go to break, DiBiase and Maurice are continuing to argue. As Brodus leaves. Matt Striker's on the stage, welcomes the rookies back. Striker continues to talk about what winning at NXT can do for whoever wins, unlike Caval, who is gone. Getting a contract and a championship match. Striker says that at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, voting will open to determine who will be eliminated next week. We see the immunity point standings. Derek Bateman is in the lead with 3 points. Johnny Curtis is at second with 2. Byron Saxton and Jacob Novak each have 1 point. Brodus Clay and Conor O'Brien haven't even scored yet. The first challenge of the night is the Power of the Punch challenge, and it's worth 2 points. Striker says if a rookie breaks the record of Alex Riley at 896, they will receive an extra point for breaking the record. Well, guess what? It doesn't get broke. Derek Bateman is the first one up. He gets a 750 on the score. Johnny Curtis is up next. He gets an 814 to take the lead. Byron Saxton is next. Striker asks him if he has a strategy. It appears that the machine is not working. Saxton says he uses lubrication, but Striker cuts him off. Saxton gets a score of 625. So Curtis is still in the lead. Conor O'Brien is next. Striker asks what's his strategy. O'Brien says he'll make the punching bag look like Swiss cheese, but only gets a mark of 531, the lowest score of them all. Del Rio looks slightly humiliated as Jacob Novak is next. Ziggler tells Novak to take off the blazer, and Striker holds it for him, calling him Brother Love. Novak gets the mark of 721 as R-Truth calls him Princess, while Ziggler says he should have kept the blazer on, so he had an excuse. Brodus Clay is the last one up as the fans are chanting Brodus, Brodus, Brodus. Clay only gets a mark of 636, so that means Johnny Curtis wins the challenge and gets 2 immunity points, which puts him in the lead. Byron Saxton versus Ted DiBiase is up next after the commercial. Byron Saxton and Chris Masters are in the ring, and we're back from the break. Ted DiBiase comes out with Maurice and Brodus Clay, lock up, and Ted hits a quick arm drag before bragging about it. They lock up again, and Saxton hits one of his own, followed by a second that stuns DiBiase. DiBiase gets Saxon back in a corner, and Saxon manages to hit a quick kick and bulldog type move for a near fall. Saxon goes chest first into the corner, and DiBiase drop kick for 2. DiBiase hits a few stomps, and Saxon looks at Clay saying, "This is how it's done." DiBiase applies a sleeper before Saxon gets out. Saxon's offense is short-lived as it gets close out for a 2 count. DiBiase hits a few knee drops followed by a fist drop, resembling his father, which gets a 2 count. DiBiase applies a combo chin lock armbar as Saxon fights back. Saxon gets up and starts running off the ropes and hitting a sunset flip for a 2 count. DiBiase hits another clothesline on Saxon and pounds him before choking him in the ropes. Right in front of Clay, Clay talks trash to Saxon, who gets guillotined off the apron onto the floor. Clay stalks Saxon as Masters tries to even the odds. The ref says Masters back to his corner as Clay charges and runs over Saxon. Ref sees this and calls for the bell, awarding the match to Saxon by disqualification. After the match, DiBiase and Maurice argue with Clay. Frustrated, DiBiase tells Maurice to slap Clay, and she does. Clay shakes a bit in anger and goes toe-to-toe with DiBiase, but DiBiase says he won't hit him and leaves with Maurice. Clay stares at the two from the ring as we take a break from the Raw rebound. Johnny Curtis and R-Truth are backstage, and Truth says the loss isn't too bad, but Curtis blames Truth for the loss since he hasn't been around for the last few weeks due to his walking pneumonia. Truth says you learn from your losses, and Curtis doesn't seem interested in hearing from Truth. Leaving for the talent show, which is next after a break. Striker is in the ring with the rookies for the second challenge of the night, a talent show worth 1 point. Derek Bateman is first and is wearing a hat and scarf. Bateman says he will read a haiku that he wrote from being stuck in an airport and calls it cheap pop. The WWE version of poetry music plays and Bateman reads the poem, trying to get the fan support, which doesn't work. Johnny Curtis is next and says he will dance. Curtis does a very odd dance with a ribbon that gets a pop from the crowd for some reason. An injured Byron Saxton is next. Saxton says he will read a fairy tale. He is basically making fun of Brodus Clay, and the fans are getting bored quick. Buzzer sounds, cutting off Saxton. Striker asks Saxton for making fun of the biggest man on the show. Conor O'Brien is next and says it's now joke time with Conor O'Brien. I guess he's trying to do a Conan O'Brien gimmick. O'Brien says, "What do you call a deer with no eyes?" "I have no idea." Crowd doesn't seem to like it very much, and Striker says he wants Clay to destroy everyone due to these talents. Jacob Novak is up next and says he will do what the other rookies can't do and look good. Novak does a very awkward pose down that has the crowd almost dead. Brodus Clay is last and says he can make anyone look cool. He calls out anyone from the back, and the Raw music hits. Michael Cole comes out and says, "May I have your attention, please?" Cole says it's bad enough that he has ruined his holiday by coming to this dump of a city, and then he had to sit backstage and watch this crap. So Cole then says he's glad things haven't changed since he's left NXT, and the show still stinks. Cole says the other rookies stink and only came out for his friend Brodus Clay. Cole puts on a beanie and makes fun of Jim Ross as the internet for voting for Caval. He also mentioned that he wants a coal miner's mascot in 2011. Clay wraps it up saying that there are only two options: nothing or like it. Shocker asks the fans who should be the winner and awards the talent show. And the immunity point to Johnny Curtis. Curtis gets in Clay's face and slaps him. Clay attacks Curtis, and the rookies begin to fight one another. This lasts only a few seconds as Clay targets everyone and takes them all out. Clay clears the ring and goes after Curtis on the floor. He shoves Curtis onto an announce table with such force that the table breaks. Curtis goes back into the ring and stands tall as the show ended. Wow. My guess is that it's internet program. Nobody gives a crap. Okay, SmackDown results for this week. In-ring vignette while it's in Rochester, New York at the Blue Cross Arena, with WWE Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler with Vicky. She recapped last Friday's handicap with John Cena. Vicky claims to have suffered a vertigo as a result of Cena picking her up for an attempted attitude adjustment. Dolph and Vicky were interrupted by Kofi Kingston. Kingston said he was going to refresh their memory on what happened at TLC. Then Jack Swagger crashed the party. He agrees with Kofi on the injustice that went down at TLC. Ziggler said both Swagger and Kingston were jealous because he was still the WWE Intercontinental Champion. Kofi and Swagger demanded a rematch for the IC title. All three went at it, with Kingston tossing Swagger and Ziggler to the outside. Out comes Teddy Long making an announcement. It's a triple threat for the title later on in the evening. Teddy Long says, "Welcome to Teddy Long's Holla 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 Holiday Party for New Year's Eve 2011. Big Show defeated Dancing Cody Rhodes in the first match by countout. Drew McIntyre defeated Trent Beretta by countout. After Beretta misses a plancha over the top to the outside, post-match McIntyre hits the finisher on the outside onto Trent, thus to get the countout. Next up is World Heavyweight Champion Rated R Superstar Edge and Rey Mysterio defeating Alberto Del Rio and Kane as Mysterio hit the 619 on Del Rio, then Edge hitting the spear for the 3 count. WWE Divas Champion Natalya and Glamazon Beth Phoenix defeated Lay Cool, with Beth hitting her finisher for the win. The match included a dry humping between Layla and Natalya that probably will be cut or edited from that match, being that it's PG rating. Way to go, WWE. Dolph Ziggler defeated Kofi Kingston and Jack Swagger to retain the Intercontinental title. Several attempted finishes by both Swagger and Kofi. In the end, Kofi hit his kick on Swagger. Dolph rolls up Kofi for the 3 count. Rey Mysterio versus Alberto Del Rio plus Kane versus the Rated R Superstar Edge in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Both headline next week's edition of SmackDown. Total crowd attendance was about 7,000, 8,000, minus 200 section rafters roped up, as well as the ad TV side being blocked off for a packed house, supposedly. Okay, other WWE news. WWE cancels an event Abilene, Texas on January 16th. And just said they're not going to reschedule that event. They're telling everybody they get the refunds. Taylor County Coliseum. Go to wherewrestlinghappens.tk for other scheduled wrestling events all across the world. Every Indie Fed, every WWE, Ring of Honor, all of them are there. Okay, let's see, what else do I have? Plans for WrestleMania so far. They have CM Punk versus Cena. And the other one is, let's see. Yep. Okay, this is last week. WWE had a tentative WrestleMania lineup written that included John Cena versus The Miz for the world title, and Randy Orton versus CM Punk. No word yet on what this means for their plans for Punk versus Cena program that is currently going on. But with 2 pay-per-views between now and WrestleMania, it would be hard not to have a CM Punk versus John Cena match before WrestleMania, pending on how they plan due to the angle with Nexus involved. And obviously with the Cena injury, that might be changed. And they might be putting Big Show on Raw instead. So Big Show will probably be replacing replacing John Cena for future references. Okay, yeah, here's some more news. Former WWE NXT rookie Naomi Knight has been tag teaming with Layla at recent WWE live events because Michelle McCool is on a slight vacation, being given off time from the road to supposedly help her husband, The Undertaker, as he recuperates from surgery. Well, my sources still say that Undertaker is not really married to Michelle McCool. Okay, WWE is also looking to push a FCW champion, Mason Ryan, big time, as they are looking to fill Batista's old role. So he's going to be doing Batista's character. And let's see, yeah, Mason Ryan. And a future SmackDown show will be their 600th episode of SmackDown. WWE will be taping a special SmackDown show on February 15th in San Diego, Rey Mysterio's area, to air on the 18th. This will be the 600th episode of SmackDown. And I believe that might be wrapping up my results. Post tapings on SmackDown. Rey Mysterio, Big Show, and Edge all laid out Dolph Ziggler after his and Vicky Guerrero's attempts at a post-holiday rendition of Jingle Bells. Okay, that. Yep. WWE fans in Baltimore were given an update on the status of John Cena's injury. His injury is a hip injury, and WWE.com states that he's day-to-day, but won't wrestle. He'll still be coming in and what have you. WWE ring announcer Justin Roberts told the crowd that Cena had suffered a serious injury and is medically prohibited from wrestling on the show. And Big Show was replacing John Cena for the scheduled cage match against Wade Barrett, as I said earlier. And that ends my report for this week. Peace out.